Yep.
So you live with that failure and there's shame, right? And we don't want to acknowledge it. We're shamed. And so helping people, when they try it again, very successful. When they try it a third time, very successful. But it's just getting over that hump. And maybe that was not the role that God would have them be in. Where are we in supporting those people? Where's the church in supporting those people? Church this weekend, people are coming asking for money. If you want to be the church, he preaches from Matthew 16. If you want to be the real church, right, then, I will build my church, give money to this cause. What about taking the guy to breakfast or lunch, the one who failed in his business, saying, hey, let me encourage you. Let me help you. What are the next steps? Where can we go? How can I support you? How can I partner with you as you go through this time of failure and see you're not a failure? My story, we did a church plant. I wanted to do this. I left a good job, company car, walked away from all that. Honey, we're on the front lines. People need Jesus and they need to hear our message. But I idolized it. The role was more important to me than exactly what we were doing. And so one day she came to me after several years and said, I don't know about you, but I hate this and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Where's that in the script? So
truth.
we were able to agree on something and it caused the next series of moves. And I felt ashamed. All my old friends, all the people, buddy, you're out there planting a church. Who the heck are you? They forget about you. One person called and said, hey, how you doing? Let's get together. I didn't forget about you. I knew who you were. And he encouraged us. And we were close enough that we were able to connect and just some encouragement. We weren't abandoned. I was fortunate. I was able to go back. The church that church still exists. I was able to go back on their 25th anniversary, and they read things that I had written as a very naive young man trying to have this vision for a multicultural church. And it's just amazing. But, it's just only God can do this. And I'm grateful that he did that. Not for me, for the people whose lives have been changed because we failed. We failed and we acknowledged our failure, and yet God used it. He redeemed the years the locust
had stolen. Yeah. I mean, there's so much of us to recognize it like as a mirror. And I think when we hear people's stories or we're reading them, like you exampled in your own book, is there's all of these stories around us every single day. And often we shun away like, oh, that's not me. Oh, I can't believe that happened to her. Oh, I can't believe he did that. I didn't know that was his backstory. And really, what if we looked at it from a frame of a mirror? And because everyone looks to sin as different levels or different parts of the step ladder, like, oh, I'm higher than that person because I didn't do that thing. It's this recognition that we know.
The publican, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. No,
but we know what's right. We know how we're supposed to do it. And if we don't, the word tells us, and that's where we should be leaning into. But action versus words, right? And so this is where there was this a really fun movie called The Senior Intern, famous. I can't even think of the guy's name, but Anne Hathaway was the main character.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And like when I saw that movie, I'm like, what a brilliant idea!
De Niro.
Yes. What a brilliant idea! Why would we not utilize the wisdom and the energy and the life and the mentorship of bringing in senior interns? And this is no different. It's like, who has been the ostracized? The least of these are the ones I call. And I think there's just, if we open with an empathetic lens and that opportunity, obviously there's safe harbors. Obviously there's boundaries. Obviously there's, mechanisms that as a business entity we can instill as a closer mentorship, perhaps to their management team. But I think it's so critical for us to recognize that there's more to their story and their service than just the one element of shame that they're holding on to or that we're literally gaslighting them with.
there needs to be a wider lens when it comes to considering people. We mentioned 75% of people demonstrate aberrant behavior. So you're never going to hire a perfect person. What is your role as a manager? What is your mission? It goes back, you're a business student, so I could take you back to 1960, the 60s. Some of us lived in the 60s. Some of us just dream about living in the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
But in 1960, Blake and Moten, their leadership grid, you've got production versus people, right? Concern for production versus concern for people. That spawned a lot of the contingency theories and situational theories. And we go back to that all the time. Should I be concerned about the people I work for? But I've also got to deliver this product, this service. I got to get it out the door. And that affects our management style. Can we not do both? Can we not knit the goals and objectives of the individuals who work with us with the incentive of achieving this objective to meet a customer need? And that's really the challenge, right?
Yeah.
So part of the book talks about that. Part of it is also, hopefully, people will read it and maybe they'll see in their own lives, hey, this is something I really need to admit, right? The Tim Allen story is a perfect example. He dealt with his issues, prison and then some alcohol issues, and he's cooking along. He's Tim Allen. He's very important and popular, but it cropped up again. You have to appreciate that. Again, I go back to your own book and your own story. Hey, I need a retooling here. I don't remember exactly how you said it in the book, but I need a check here. I need I need to make sure I'm on track. I actually have a coach. I'm 66 years old. Yes. I'm working with a coach now.
Awesome.
How can I be better? How can I do better? How can I reflect on those things that are hindering my ability to hear and to see and to perform? That's what the Word of God is supposed to do. It's supposed to kind of wash over us and expose some of those areas, right? We need that. We don't need, story time, or we don't need, the entertainment.
No, gosh, no.
And COVID kind of flushed that out, I think, of some churches. But
well, it's interesting because there are so many directions and elements to this conversation. I hope people listening are hearing not only his heart, but also the breadth of experience, right? There's been I've been on this side of the microphone, I've been on that side of the microphone, and all the places in between. And people have to recognize that no matter how far someone has come or how far there's an appearance of them becoming even still, like, we have to have those checkpoints. We have to have, even within the leadership realm, checkpoints, right? There's no different than the operations view that you would have over your company org chart. Is like, who's talking to who and who's checking out who. And for me personally, I have been given access from other leaders into their unique stories. And I, with that access, am able to kind of poke the bear, and keep them in tune and say, hey, I can see you're a little bit out of alignment here lately with your messaging.
That's great.
Or with the way that you're showing up on social media or lack thereof. Where have you been? What's going on? And we need people like that. But in order for that to be truly authentic, which is such a buzzword, everyone's like, let's be authentic. And simultaneous, they haven't actually allowed other people into those areas to safe harbor them.
No, I say to my students all the time, you have to honestly come to me if I say one thing and I do something else. Don't be afraid of me. Don't think I'm, the professor or doctor or whatever. I challenge people all the time, when was the last time someone came to me and said, I hear this in your heart. It doesn't sound right. It's the people closest to us. We're fortunate with spouses that we have who can be honest with us, but then can't be defensive about it, which I don't know about you, but I know that I get defensive.
It's so hard. We
It's
were talking
terrible.
before we jumped online here, y'all, and you've got to know this and celebrate alongside me. Him and his wife are celebrating 40 years this year. And I'm like so proud of my 10 years that's about to take place, but simultaneously, I'm like 40 years.
It's
And I
unbelievable.
think through the habits that every single day and the defense mechanisms every single day, I have to like always be bringing my walls down because societally we're taught, literally as women, taught to build up those walls. Like, I am strong, I am fierce, I am a boss babe, I can do all the things. Simultaneous to that, I just need his comfort. I need his wisdom. I need his direction. I need his covering. And at the end of the day, and there's areas of those falling short, I can't rely on him for everything. And so that's where, God is in the midst and intertwined and all around. And I didn't always have that lens, which when you read my book, you can see that. But I was very in that self-driven realm, which I think about all of these people when we think about addiction, we think about imprisonment based on other reasons. I think about the fact that no different than myself, they just chose a different vice, right? I was lucky. I just didn't have prison sentence connected to my sin.
Right. Yeah, I
And
agree with that.
I don't think that everyone's meant to have to be an entrepreneur because they have a really good story or they had to go to prison. I think that there should be an open door policy and conversation that transpires on the lead team and the management team on the HR realm.